Hello and welcome everyone to the webinar, Joining Forces, How Climate Earth and EPS Partner to Drive Growth in Sustainable Business, which is brought to you by 2 Degrees. Thank you for joining us. My name is Stephen and I am Head of Working Groups at 2 Degrees in the U.S. and I will be your host for this webinar. I'd like to welcome our presenters for the webinar today, Chris Erickson, CEO of Climate Earth, and Jay Zoellner, President and Chief Executive Officer at EPS. The webinar will last approximately 15 minutes, and question and answers will be taken online on the Carbon Compliance Strategies Working Group forum. If you have any technical problems during the webinar, please let me know by sending me a message via the chat box. To send me a message, select Send to Host from the drop-down menu. Thank you to both of our presenters for joining us today. I'd now like to hand it over to them to get started.
Great. Thank you, Stephen. We're delighted to be here with 2 Degrees and an audience of like-minded sustainability professionals. We all know that sustainability is about managing a very complex ecosystem, and there certainly is no silver bullet. But EPS and Climate Earth have taken a big step forward, and we hope we'll see that in the next few minutes. We have joined forces to bring key expertise together within a single enterprise system. We think we have come a long way in meeting the complex needs of sustainable management, and we hope you'll soon agree. So we will briefly cover 3 main topics. First, we'll cover why. Why did our companies develop a collaborative partnership? Then the what and its uniqueness. And finally, the benefits delivered. So starting off, let's take a look at the why. We joined forces, first of all, because we thought it was valuable to link EPS's real-time energy monitoring and management with Climate Earth's management of Scope 1, 2, and 3 carbon into a single system backed by expert support in both areas. This is best of class, it's easy to use, and simple to buy. Second, both EPS and Climate Earth independently had similar market approaches that made the technical integration quite elegant. For both companies, all measures are linked to financials, creating sustainability metrics in a financial context. This is key to relating sustainability to bottom-line executive decision-making. If we expect executives to take the lead on sustainability, they have got to have one dashboard, effectively one steering wheel, so they can see impacts in both financial and environmental terms simultaneously. Of course, the combined system is a SaaS system, it's web-based, and it delivers not just software, but the expert analysis and guidance in both carbon and energy management. And third, we accelerate time to market. But I think more importantly for the customer, we accelerate time to value. We've captured 20 years of IP in a single system and one implementation. It was actually a single implementation now for what previously was 2 systems. So Jay, now that we've covered the why, I'll turn it to you for the what.
Thanks, Chris. Really appreciate that. That was a really great description in terms of why our 2 companies got together. So let's take a look at what the combined solution looks like. What do the customers get? So you can see from this current slide, the customers are looking for and they need better management and visibility of energy reduction, and they need a reduced total carbon footprint. So when you look at the Scope 1, Scope 2, and Scope 3, we all recognize that it's a very complicated solution set to be able to address all of those. So EPS was focused on where we come from is we were focused on the real-time energy management and the carbon emissions that result from the Scope 1 and Scope 2 aspects of carbon emissions. But that doesn't complete the entire picture for the customer. In many cases, like we all know, they start out from an idea of sustainability and they move quickly to an energy component because they're looking for a way to pay for it. Yet they still want the benefits of a carbon reduction approach. So how do we pull all those together in a fashion that makes sense for the customer and gives the customer control because of the breadth and the scope of it? Well, that's really why the two solutions came together between EPS and Climate Earth. And I'll let Chris talk about the Scope 3 carbon emissions, because where EPS is we stop at the real-time energy management and the carbon associated with that, and we are one of only 5 companies worldwide that is certified by the Carbon Disclosure Project, as our calculations and carbon emissions are certified by them. So I'll let Chris talk about the Scope 3 part of this and how we pull this together.
Okay, thanks, Jay. So as Jay mentioned, we also offer complete carbon management capability, including the full supply chain. Called Scope 3, or cradle-to-gate analysis, but we take this as far as it can go. Imagine what this means. Such thing as knowing the impact of every single supplier and every purchase transaction in your business. It's an unprecedented level of management visibility, all of it placed into familiar integrated financial and environmental performance metrics. So essentially what this means is your top greenhouse gas suppliers, by total and by intensity per dollar, are easily identified, as are your intensity and lowest intensity products by profit or total sales. Management attention is quickly and easily focused into the high impact, high return areas.
So let's talk a little bit about the details between energy intelligence and environmental intelligence. Energy intelligence and what EPS is doing is we're really changing the paradigm for how energy efficiency and energy solutions are delivered to multi-site, multinational corporations. Historically, it's been on an ad hoc, local level, and what we're doing is we're making it real-time, enterprise-wide, and we're taking the data and we're putting the data in the right context by using it real-time so everybody has the same information, and we're delivering solutions that are collaborative with the customer that allow them to see which solutions have the best return on investment, which solutions might be leveraged across multiple sites at the same time to get the best value, and which solutions make real sense for them in terms of the context for what they're doing and what their real business is, which is production.
And then from an environmental intelligence perspective, I spoke earlier about the power of integrated metrics. And I think this slide should shed some light, or a little bit more light, on what we mean. Such questions as, what purchase goods and services are most carbon intensive? It's a simple question, but it can drive major strategic changes, such as product redesign. Going down the list, we can answer questions like, what are the most and least carbon efficient facilities? What this does is allow executives to first of all uncover and then identify best practices in plants and operational facilities that they can roll out across the organization. I think this is another example of kind of the unprecedented level of management capability that we're providing. Importantly, though, not only are these questions raised, but our experts, both from EPS and Climate Earth, are available to help pose the questions, get answers, and to recommend management actions such as which we talked about just in this slide. And then, of course, the system tracks progress on a periodic basis, ideally quarterly in our case, and in real time with the EPS piece. And this is fully then in sync with both the financial management financial management cycle and the real-time nature of energy management. So in sum, the combined offer gives companies, first of all, a single platform and centralized view of energy and carbon across the enterprise and supply chain. the ability to quantify real-time energy use down to subsystem level and to manage the full range of carbon emissions from Scope 1 through the supply chain in Scope 3. All of this with no manual data collection, and of course, it's fully standards compliant. In a nutshell, we've combined best-of-class energy with best-of-class carbon management into a very comprehensive and powerful solution.
So here's the real kicker, and this is the exciting part about what we're doing together. Each of us have multiple customers that are commercially practicing. In other words, these solutions are commercially available in the marketplace today. Why are the customers looking to us for these solutions? Well, first, they get real and persistent reductions in energy and in carbon. From the energy perspective, our customers gain anywhere from 6% reduction in their energy spend to a 30% reduction in their energy spend. And on the carbon side, we're basically seeing a 10 to 50% reduction in their total carbon emissions. So that's real value that customers are actively seeking. They want to understand how sustainability will make a real positive impact on their business, and we're doing that today. Secondly, I think the important value here that customers see is that they get a clearer path to sustainability. So as a result, like we saw before, it's a very complicated solution. It puts our combined solution, puts control in the hands of the customer so that they can decide what's most important to them to focus on. Are they concerned about reducing their carbon emissions for product branding reasons? Or are they just interested in what the payoff is today that they can pay for by energy efficiency reductions? So the playoff is it's an incredible solution between the two that gives the customer the ability to create and communicate the pathway throughout their enterprise. It gives them the ability to select the initiatives that have the greatest impact and the return on investment. And it really minimizes the time, the cost, and effort that they need to exert on their own to implement sustainability, because we provide all this expertise, these solutions that go with the data that's in real time and how they relate to their production or their financial bottom line. And so as a result, they get a very clear idea about how they can use sustainability for their product branding and to improve their communications and positions to the marketplace. So finally, we believe that the EPS Climate Earth solution is absolutely unique in the marketplace, and by combining our two companies together and our solutions through one common web portal, they begin to address what they need, and we do it by delivering financially compelling results. So thank you for your time and attention, and I think with that, we'll turn it back over to Stephen.
I'd like to thank both of our presenters today for that fantastic overview of their partnership and joint offering. I'd also like to remind everyone that I'll be starting a forum thread with access to the webinar recording on 2 Degrees in the Carbon Compliance Strategies Working Group, and I'll be sending a link that you can share with your colleagues. If you have any questions for today's presenters, please post them here, and I encourage you to use the forum to also post any comments and continue the discussion. Thank you to everyone who attended the webinar today. If you have any feedback or would like to see any other topics discussed, please let me know.